So here I worked ahead. I've already worked on the ground some, so you can see that I've painted it green, but I've kept everything pretty much the same color. But since we know a lot more about working with color and value at this point, now I want to think about, well, why would something need to be darker? If something's further away, usually it's going to appear darker. So I'm going to put more green here along the edge of the ground that's further away. I'm going to do the same thing where the woman's standing over here. Now, at first it's like, oh, well, that looks like, I just put a little stripe there and outlined it. But I'm going to then blend in my color. So I'm going to take a clean brush. I've tapped out my brush to get rid of the extra paint in it. And I'm going to pull that green to fade it in to the ground color. And then I get more of that 3D effect happening. So the same thing over here. And if you can think of a reason something should be darker, probably you should go ahead and make it darker. If she's standing on the ground here, she's definitely going to be casting a shadow on the ground. So I'm going to go in with some more green, and I'll need to put some under and then even around her. So pulling this out from under her sort of fades that to look like she has a shadow. The far away part of the water would seem darker, so I can go back in and blend a darker blue back there. That might be a little too much water, so I'm getting rid of some of that. Too much water means I'm going to lose control of my paint. Now the boat itself, the water will be shiny and reflective, but the way that I made over here darker underneath her, that would indicate the sun is on this side, so I could actually put where the boat would be casting a shadow onto the water. So then it looks like I've just outlined stuff there, so I want to go back in and blend that dark blue into the light blue. Now, a little disclaimer before you keep working. When you do your tree, when you do the woman, like you're getting a lot smaller. So at this point, if you feel more comfortable switching over to color pencils, you could do that. That's something that we've talked about practicing with before. If you're going to use paint, then you're definitely going to want to switch down to a smaller brush. So I'm going to do that myself. You want to definitely be thinking about different painting techniques. So for instance, when I paint that tree, I'm not going to sit there painting every single leaf on the tree. So first I'm going to do the trunk. A little more water. I think I was a little worried about using too much and didn't use enough. And again, we're going for a 3D effect. So clean out my brush, and I'm going to get some black on here. And I'm going to go along one side of the trunk to show the dark side of it. But then with my leaves themselves, I'm not going to paint one leaf at a time. What I'm going to do is a stippling technique where I want to have a light part and a dark part. So I'm going to start out by stippling on yellow. That's going to be my lighter color. And I want it to look green, but I'm not going to use green paint. So then I'm going to stipple on top of it with blue. And where I know it should be darker, like on this side, I'm going to use more blue. As I move across, I'm going to try to spread the blue out. So the nice thing is overall the tree looks darker, but the yellow part is the light part. And the part where it turned that green color, that is the dark part. So since the yellow is still showing, I have that 3D effect on there. So I'm going to continue that with my boat and my woman here. So I've got to choose a color that would show up really well for the boat on top of the orange. So, or well, I said orange because I'm using orange on top of the blue. So the orange wouldn't cover up the blue very well, but fortunately I don't have to cover up the blue because I was careful about painting it. But orange and blue are complementary colors. They're directly across from each other in the color wheel. So because of that, they're very opposite in intensity. The orange is a warm, bright color, and the blue is a soft, cool color, so this boat really pops out. If I go in now with a color that's darker, I could use brown or red. I think I might make the woman's dress red, or part of it red, so I'm going to use brown for this on the boat. So I'm going to put a shadow under the bench so we can see it still. And then along the contour of the wall of the boat there. And that makes it a little more 3D looking. Even along the side that is facing the water, because that should look darker. And with that, if I'm careful with my brush, I don't really have to go back and blend much, because since it's smaller and I'm using a smaller brush, I'm not going to have a whole lot of room for blending. So I'm going to be really careful pulling that across. Alright, so the next thing we'll do is we'll see how to paint our person.